What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So, in this video today, we're going to be talking about the Charlie Kirk Memorial. I'm going to we're going to talk about who all spoke there, and the kind of feeling that I got from the memorial, what I feel like it was ultimately about. And yeah, just my opinions on it. And we're going to do a couple of videos on this. I'm kind of speaking this one in general about the memorial, and then I'm going to have another video, at least one more video, specifically about one speaker at this memorial and what was being said, and I think this deeper concerning thing about it. So thank you very much for joining me. If you are new here, welcome to ClearTalk. If you would like to check out more videos from the channel, please do so. Consider subscribing, like, share, all that good stuff. If you'd like to check out stuff from the other channels as well, JMDPLAY or Puzzling, please consider checking those out. Videos and stuff there as well. The content on those, consider subscribing, like, share on everything on those as well. That would be fantastic. It helps out the channels. It helps me, helps the JMD Nation at large, getting the videos out in front of people, other faces that would not, normally have it, helping with the algorithm and all that, stuff. So, thank you very much for any help you give there. And then, of course, there's also links and stuff to any kind of support, whether it's ongoing or one-time stuff. If you want to join the JMD Nation, this very much appreciated. Any support you do give, is much appreciated. And yeah, thank you very much. And if you are returning, you are freaking amazing. Thank you. Welcome back. Keep coming back. Keep, giving your thoughts and opinions, and, whether they're for or against, or neutral or whatever, maybe a completely different perspective or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's fine. I welcome any kind of feedback. So, and it helps to grow the community, and we can all have that feedback and talk to each other. Hopefully in a as polite a way as possible. So, all right, the Charlie Kirk Memorial. This was in Arizona. It was a massive kind of arena thing. I'm seeing reports of approximately about 95,000 people. I think they were expecting around 100. It got close. If those reports are correct, I'm not exactly sure. But it was a lot. It was a pretty big crowd. I have to say. It's almost kind of funny to argue that Charlie Kirk was able to pull a bigger crowd than most of these people speaking at this memorial. But it does speak to the movement of Charlie Kirk, and the importance that he was to this community of people. Let's just put it that way. And what I found, for starters, what I found interesting was the lineup of speakers. You had, of course, Trump. You had Vice President J.D. Vance. You had Erica Kirk, which was, okay, yeah, of course, we should have the wife there speaking. Susan Wiles, the House Chief of Staff. It's kind of odd. Robert F. Kennedy, Secretary of Health and Human Services, right? Okay. Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. Okay. Stephen Miller, senior Trump aide. Okay. Sergio Gore, senior Trump aide, which I haven't seen any video on him, so I'm not sure, honestly, whether or not he really did or not. Donald Trump Jr., son of former President Trump, son of President Trump. And also Tulsi Gabbard, Mark Rubio, and Tucker Carlson. I find that just a little weird or odd, and I say this because this is supposed to be a memorial for Charlie Kirk, and yet the only person that was actually like personal to Charlie Kirk was his wife. There was no other family members speaking at this, no siblings or parents or any, I mean, nothing like that. This was solely just politicians or people in the Trump administration speaking at what comes to me appears a little bit more like just a hyper-conservative MAGA like rally. I mean, the big thing was really the Turning Point USA. So I guess you could say that, yes, this was a memorial, but it was more of a memorial of the politics of Charlie Kirk. Okay. All right, then, fine. That's the reason why, I guess, this was more just a political, like very much politically driven. It was all about, the stuff that the politics that Charlie Kirk advocated for, and the movement, around MAGA, and how and where he influenced that, or helped to influence people in that area. The idea of bringing younger people into the movement potentially through his debate practices. To what extent of influence he really had in that, I don't know. They feel like he had a very much strong influence in that, and he probably did have quite a bit of influence in it. But this very much, like I said, seemed like more of a just rally event, like a campaign event, just sort of molded into with the politics of Charlie Kirk, and and things were, a lot of things were said, especially like Trump had a 45 minute speech during this. And there were a lot of things said in the name of Charlie Kirk that I have not admittedly taken any kind of, yet anyways, initiative to research. And I'm not even sure that some things that were said in his name you could even find any evidence for. But it just seems like there was some things that were said that were given to the lips of Charlie Kirk that I question very much so whether or not he actually said those things. Like in the way that they were said, that in the time that it supposedly was saying it, like, it just doesn't make sense. Some of it was, some of it, yeah, he probably did say, but then other things, it was like, I think they kind of made that up, or at least portions of it. Like, especially when they said like a long supposed quote that he said this, and this. Some of it I think felt like it was just made up. Like he didn't actually say those things. It was kind of added in to make it sound the way they wanted it to sound. So, I mean, and the fact that the people who were up there speaking, I just can't trust. Trump especially, to anything that he says supposedly was said by Charlie or anybody else for that matter. It was just very, very interesting. One other thing that I wanted to bring up is the structure of the memorial. And which I don't think anybody's even talked about. And maybe it's pointless. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe it's like, nothing to be said here, or just, I'm just making something out of nothing. I don't know. But it seemed to me like the structure seemed very much like purposely structured as like man, woman, kind of bouncing between each other. It felt like the women were all speaking in this more like softer tones, more in a more inclusive, like understanding, loving, very much around faith and God and all these other, like, just this is more, I guess you could argue from their point, maybe feminine way of addressing the memorial, like, bringing the crowd in around that type of idea and that type of like unity of, caring and love and all this stuff. And then the men, on the other hand, seem to be more aggressive, seem to be more agitated, or like, the idea of the behind the strong man, the masculine, the, bold, like we're, talking about like driving at not accepting the opposition, and that we are, that we're not going to allow for this, this type of actions, or this, all the left wing kind of like stuff that they're spewing, the radicalization, the hate speech, and all this stuff, like that they were, it is very much driven in that way. So you'd get, a guy would come up there and they'd go in this direction, getting the crowd riled up this way. And then the woman would come in and soften it up. And then the man come in and go back at it again. And the woman come in and soften it up. It seemed very much constructed that way to me. I might be wrong here, but it felt like that was purposeful as a way to kind of keep the crowd in it and keep them in this like emotional battle, I feel, around this good versus evil like rhetoric of unacceptance in what they feel is an attack, with the like loving, generosity, like forgiving kind of thing. Because that was the big conflict there. You had Erica Kirk get up there talking about how she that there was no room for hate speech, or like, that we shouldn't hate our enemies with hate. Like that's not what the Bible teaches us. It says to love our enemies. And she even at one point stating that she forgave the alleged shooter. That was this is what I'm talking about. Like she even though there have been instances in some of her more in different arenas or different interviews and things like that, she's spoken a little bit differently. But here she spoke very much in a more loving, caring, compassionate, forgiving kind of nature. But then contrast that with the likes of Trump, even his son, Stephen Miller, all of them getting up there and speaking about just fire and brimstone type of stuff to their political opposition. Trump literally stating, I hate my opponents. I'm not even joking. That was his, in the point where he was stating that I didn't agree with Charlie Kirk in, being kind and caring and being compassionate for my opposition. That's where I differ from Kirk. I actually, hate my opponents. I do want bad for them. I do want, and I have the video right here. I have the video right here for you. Real quick. I will show it. This is the part.
The core of Charlie's message and his basic method never changed. It never really changed. He stayed the same person also. At every campus event, Charlie asked the people who disagreed with him to come forward, and instead of silencing them, he handed them a microphone and let them speak. And he'd convinced so many of them. It was a pretty amazing thing to watch, actually. Shortly before Charlie arrived on campus, the day he was assassinated, a staff member texted him that there were many critics and students who were opposed to his views, and rather strenuously in the crowd. And that actually made him feel good, because he wanted to convince them. He understood. He really did. He understood what was right. And he was right about that. A lot of it was based on common sense, by the way. Charlie wrote back to the staff member saying, I'm not here to fight them. I want to know them and love them, and I want to reach them and try and lead them into a great way of life in our country. In that private moment on his dying day, we find everything we need to know about who Charlie Kirk truly was. He was a missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie.
All right, here we go.
I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent.
So, he talks about how Kirk was compassionate, even at one point stating that he loved his opposition or whatever, loved them, that come forward or whatever. And he wanted to, to have discourse or whatever. And then Trump continues, that's where I disagree. I hate my political opponents. I don't want the best for them. And that kind of sums up a lot of this memorial and the politicization of this assassination of Kirk by the right, using it as a means to push to that the Trump administration has been trying to find avenues and reasoning behind or evidence behind going after their opposition. I mean, he's been saying from the beginning that he was going to go against his opposition. And, you know, clearly the idea normally is that, you know, yes, we don't agree with each other, and we're probably not going to agree with each other, but we're going to try to work with each other. Like this whole, you know, that's what you typically would get, that we're going to try to work with you, and maybe eventually we can pull you in, you know, to at least understand or whatever side we're talking about here. But for Trump and his administration and the MAGA movement at large, they straight up, they are not on that. He states there, I hate my opponents. That's something that's like a new political like movement and argument here. In complete opposition, hating my opponents. I mean, I don't know. I guess that can't be considered hate speech, though, right? To the point that we're going to go after them, and that's what you got from several of the other speakers. We're not going to allow this, and we're going to come after you. We are the arbiters of good and truth, and you are evil and bad if you do not agree with us, if you are our opposition, and understanding, like he's literally saying here that over half of the country actually does not agree with him. And you're going, wait a minute, what do you mean over half? He won the, you know, he won the presidency with like roughly 36, 37% of the population. That's it. Of the voting population at that. Not 50-something% of the population, voting population. No, only 37%. Actually, no, I'm wrong. I'm quoting, I apologize. I'm wrong on that. He actually only won with like 34%. 37% didn't even vote. That's I'm sorry. I'm even wrong on my percentages there. 37% didn't even vote. That could vote didn't even vote. So a larger part of the country didn't vote that actually went for Trump. So even that argument alone. But even the 34% is not 34% anymore. It's more down around like 25% that agree with him now, because everybody else, there was a little bit there of people that, you know, have realized, oh shit, like he's going a little too far, and I'm not actually agreeing with him now anymore. Over a majority of the population of this country does not agree with Trump and his movement, does not agree with the MAGA movement, which puts them in opposition of him, of his administration. So when he states here, I hate my opponents, he's basically stating to over half the country, I hate you. I do not want the best for you. And other members of administration that talked in this memorial speech stated similar opinions. That they are evil, that we are evil. The ones who oppose him, who do not agree with him, who are willing to, you know, stand up or talk back on it or give arguments against him, like we talked about in a video the other day about, you know, the women who were in the restaurant protesting, and then he was trying to equate them to people who do riots and stuff. They culminate all of us together as political enemies, as political rivals. If you do not like him or stuff that he does, if you are in opposition in any kind of way, I don't know how much more I can try to bring this up to have you realize that you should be concerned. I'm not saying that you should be like in complete fear, but you should at least keep your eye on what's going on. Keep your ears to things that are being said, because they're literally not hiding it anymore. They haven't been hiding it. They literally are telling you what they want to do, what they are for, what they are about. And then Trump goes on to talk about even tariffs, stuff like that. I mean, it was, what was even more disturbing for me, though, also, I don't know if disturbing is the right word, but just like kind of odd, at least, was at the very end, Trump brings Erica out, has her come out. And while I can understand in a moment of, the appearance of grief or, emotional overload of the experience that you're having in a moment like this would give. You've got tens of thousands of people all here memorializing your husband who you just lost. Getting emotional and embracing somebody. She embraced Trump, hugged deeply, almost even to the point that I think Trump felt kind of overwhelmed by it, like or like surprised by it, because it was like he thought it was going to be a quick little embrace hug thing, and then she kept holding on, and he's like, oh, and and he went a little bit further, and then and while that's normal, I would say that was probably a normal response, or could be a normal response. But then it's almost like she continued to almost initialize this, like putting her arm around him and pulling into him, pulling her face to his chin, pulling her face to his chest, and after the fact, like it was very just like, I don't even know what I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, shut up, it was just she's just emotional, but it did seem very much a bit much, even if the bit much is just performative, like which this whole entire thing come off as just a big huge performance. Anyways, that's kind of my thoughts here, is that this whole memorial was just a political rally to unite the MAGA movement and the extended movement of Charlie Kirk, which I think embraced even people outside of arguably MAGA, that to bring them into this unified idea around not accepting this type of like around supposed like attack on free speech of them, more or less, and around not accepting that speech to be hindered, especially violently, which, you know, I agree, no speech should be handled in any kind of violent way, manner. But as a way of attacking or being subservient or like accepting of actions being taken on those who oppose our movement. Which is concerning. Because like I said, when we've been talking about, they've been using this as a means to push for more aggression. Like we argued in the video the other day, the concern around the aggression being more authoritarian, dictator-like, to the point of trying to completely eradicate anything that they consider left of them. Trying to shut down, you know, opposition on all levels. And that's what it felt like. I'm going to do another video here in a minute, specifically on Stephen Miller and what he said during the memorial, which I think was the absolute most concerning. Even though, you know, Trump, you know, is I hate my opponents, shit, whatever, sounds bad. Stephen Miller's speech, I think, takes the cake for this whole thing. Let me know what you think about the memorial, whether it was, you know, you're on the side of the memorial and you enjoyed it and you think it was the best thing that was ever done for anybody or whatever. I don't, you know, that's fine. Or if you've, you know, see that there were concerns being had here with certain people and what was being said or whatnot, let me know what you think. Until next time, peace. Clear Talk. I'm out.